In the original script, Dexter was going to be executed for his crimes. Here are 5 things you probably don't know about the TV show Dexter. Dexter is one of my favorite shows ever. It's still on in various forms. It's just a really interesting and cool story about something that is traditionally really bad, which is a serial killer, which we know a lot about with the rise of true crime, all the serial killers that have become almost household names with that rise. However, Dexter was different. Dexter learned a code, he hunted bad guys, and really became almost a lovable character. A character that you root for, even though he's doing bad things, because he's doing bad things to bad people, and that's the difference. It's interesting though, if you look at the history of the show and where it came from, there's aspects to it that a lot of people don't realize. One, it is actually based off a book series, and that series was far darker than the actual TV series. So if you read the books, Dexter is more driven by, Dark Passenger is actually a demonic being. It's not just this idea that he has evil within him that he has to control, which is part of the TV series. It's an actual thing in the book. It's an actual demon that's driving him, and that makes everything far different. The author is actually named Jeff Lindsay, which is interesting because if you've watched the later seasons, when he takes on pseudonym outside of Dexter, that's the name they use, so it's called back the original author of the original book series. Michael C. Hall, as iconic as he is as Dexter, and how I'm sure all of us can't imagine anyone else playing that role, was actually not the first choice. It wasn't until he had a standout performance in 6 Feet Under that really put him in the front of the line for the role for Dexter. And of course, he ultimately got the role and he crushes it. And it's hard to imagine any other actor playing Dexter like Michael C. Hall. In fact, it may actually be a detriment to him, because when you see him, at least for me, I automatically think of Dexter. It's hard to see him in any other role because he's so iconic in that role itself. A couple aspects about the actual production. One, obviously, aspect that they use a lot of is going to be fake blood, because Dexter is a killer. In Miami with the heat, they had issues with the traditional fake blood they'd use on other sets, because a lot of times they dealt with shots that were outside and it just didn't look right. So they ended up using caramel syrup and other innovative approaches, especially when they have close-ups of blood. It's not uncommon for productions to get creative when it comes to making one thing look like another. But in today's day and age, there's so many different types of fake blood. The fact that they had to go outside of even those to figure it out just shows you how tough the Florida weather can be. And being born in Florida, I can agree with that it does get very hot sometimes. It's very humid and things tend to break down very quickly. So that was one of the elements they had to deal with. Originally, Dexter was going to be executed in the final episode, and everything up until then was him thinking through his memories before lethal injection. That was the initial idea. Ultimately, the producers rejected that and said they wanted something far more open-ended, which they did. If you're a Dexter fan, you probably hated the original finale as much as I did. It answered nothing. It felt almost like a cop-out. And so they definitely achieved their open-ended goal, that's for sure. That's what they did. I feel like they rectified it with some of the newer seasons they've laid out to show what happens to him after. But it was really disappointing for a long time, because Dexter fans were like, you answered nothing. It was just such a simple way for the series to end. And that was sad back then for a character that everyone loves. And that brings me to the final point, which is, why do we love Dexter? And obviously it goes deeper than just that he's killing bad guys. We can all respect that. I agree with that. But you're watching someone that is trying to understand his darkness, trying to understand his evil, and doesn't have the ability to feel like a human being does, but yet all he wants to do is feel like a human being does. And that contradiction is interesting to watch, because most of us, hopefully, we're able to feel emotions, so we're able to feel things. So trying to understand what it feels like to not feel that, but wanting to feel that, because I'm sure a lot of us have gone through days where we just don't want to feel anymore. We wish that we didn't have pain. We wish that we didn't have emotional anguish, but we do, because that's being human. So this character can't feel any of that, but he wants to feel it, because that's also what makes you feel alive. And I think that's really what makes Dexter a tragic figure, and someone that we align with, is because he's choosing to harness his evil for something that is righteous, and all he really wants is just to be normal. And but he can't, because of the way he's built. And that's tragic. So I'm going to continue watching Dexter. It seems like they've laid out a progression for him now that they've introduced his son. And it's, again, a great series. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend the watch. It's not, I wouldn't consider it scary. So it's almost difficult to put in the horror genre, although he's a serial killer, which is why it would be considered that, and why I've added it here to the Horror Museum. But it's not scary like other shows. It's very well written, well acted, but I think you'll appreciate it and like it nonetheless. So that is 5 things you probably did not know about the TV show Dexter.